And good afternoon, folks. Thank you so very much, my friends, for joining me today on Viewpoint. Wendell Moore, your host, here with you and my guest. We'll be here until the 1 o'clock hour. And by the way, because today being Wednesday, I'm again here this afternoon at 5, so you're invited to join me then. Can't be sure as yet what that topic will be all about. But I don't like to say it. You know why? Because you're going to make an early decision as to whether or not you want to be a part of it. I keep you guessing. Anyway, good afternoon once again. And those in the live stream, thank you so much for joining us. I'm told that I have lots of friends in the Caribbean region. Thank you so very much for checking in and see what's going on in our neck of the woods, some of which is relatable to your own experiences as well. All right, we're here with the author of the book. Somebody handed me a book some time ago, and it was properly sealed in plastic. And for whatever reason, I just stick it in my bag with the intention of looking at it one day, because the topic, of course, is one that says the dark side of leadership. Something that would trigger your, you'd want to know what that is all about. And when I did get my head in it, I didn't want to come out at all. Simply because you can relate to much of what the young lady was saying in the book. And she's here with me today. I'm talking about Brenda Maynard, along with one of her publishers, or maybe the publisher at least for this book, which is Dr. Erna Mae, Francis Cotton, who is a psychiatrist by profession. She has a knack of being able to figure out what could be going on in one's head when we see things playing out in the flesh, in the body, and we can't seem to understand what is happening. And then she gets in there, somehow rearrange things, and you can be in a better place. I'm just using my words. Play of words, Dr. Erna Mae. Good to have you. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Wendell, and to your listening and viewing audience. Just a minor adjustment. I'm actually a master therapist, psychologist, not psychiatrist.
I guess I used the wrong word. That's it.
That's okay.
In any case. And the author of the book happens to be Brenda Maynard.
Yes, the co-author of the book, Brenda
Co-author.
Maynard. Yes. Good afternoon, radio listeners.
Good
Glad
afternoon.
to be here this afternoon.
Okay. Now, I told a little bit of the story, and I'm sure you have forgiven me for it, right?
I'll think about it.
Yeah, and I share some of the book just to trigger, because sometimes I find myself in a position where my guests who would have reserved the spot would not show. And for whatever reason, I still have to do a show. Sometimes you play it by ear. Sometimes you open up the lines. And you get the worst kind of discussion sometimes, and the better kind as well, because people usually use that forum to address certain things. This is something that we would probably want to believe that it exists, but at the same time, no one is highlighting what is the nature of what goes on behind the scenes or some, although a lot of it plays out. What was in your head when you decided to pen the dark side of leadership? What were you thinking?
Well, in actuality, it was the experience of being a leader in a certain organization during COVID. So I was in charge of the entire Caribbean. So it was over 5,000 persons that was under your leadership in a very dark time, a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And at the end of our term, we were able to bring the Caribbean to third in the world internationally, and to actually win 7 of the 8 international awards. And so it was strategically challenging. However, it placed you in a place where you really had to overcome and be strong and get a light actually from within to go through the process of leadership in that time. And so the co-author, who was also then one of the persons who worked with me. I was the district director and she was the public relation officer at that time. and we were actually in the same organization at that particular time. So we had times that we discussed about, the things that we were going through as leaders. And it did not only relate to that particular organization, it was like an everyday thing. It happened in different situations, different professions, and we started to, speak to other persons, and that is how the book was birthed. We need to put this on paper.
Yeah. You also address in the book an area called leadership in crisis.
Yes.
Is what you're saying at this moment relate to?
Yes, so it was during COVID. I also had one of my leadership roles when Haiti, for instance, had the earthquake. So we had that. I had another leadership position during the time of Irma, where I had responsibilities on different islands, and all were affected by the hurricane. So at one point they started to say, you're the leader for the crisis situations. And I was like, And then I realized to be a leader in a crisis situation, you really need some strategic plans. And a lot of it comes from planning before. Because you can't wait until you reach that position to plan.
Yeah.
Because then you're never prepared for a crisis.
All right. Let me get to Dr. Erna Mae, because I got to get back to you with some of these issues that you were dealing with. When you saw this manuscript and you saw it, did it occur to you that this can be an adjuster to correct some of the wrongs that we might experience in life? Or what? Tell me what you saw.
Most definitely. When Brenda approached me with the book, I reviewed it. I saw areas that could have been adjusted and assisted with that. But the core of it, when I read it, I said, this is definitely needed for such a time as this. Because within the world, leadership is challenged. And that's actually the reason why back in 2013, we started hosting LeaderCast, the world's largest one-day leadership event. And very proud to say that Brenda, as well as her daughter, were consistently a part of LeaderCast when we held it.
Oh, okay.
And so seeing her book, with her co-author, Rosalind Douglas, who is in Grenada, it really resonated, and I saw that we could do something powerful with the manuscript and that it would make a difference.
Yeah. I'm going to list quickly the 6 points that you have here for undermining leadership, which I think is and can be the highlight of the book when it comes to identifying what are you talking about when it comes to excuses. You said openly making jokes about your looks, and these are the behavior pattern of those who are trying to undermine the role that you're playing as a leader.
Well, in actuality, there's actually two types of underminers. So we talk about open underminers who are actually in your face and they do it openly, and then there's a covert underminers that are behind your back. And one of the things I was interested with, because the book has also developed into workshops and courses, and when we were putting it together to just get images, Rosalind would laugh because one of my favorite images is this one, and this represented for me what actually the covert underminer is a sniper person behind a wall looking.
Covert underminers.
Yes, and I was like, this is the one I wanted. I really love that, because those are the ones that sneak up on you. They're the ones that you least expect.
Yeah.
So there are two different parts of it. So what you're reading is the open underminers, who you get those things and you would think maybe it's a joke. Sometimes somebody come and make a joke about, oh, you're looking sharp today. And in a group of persons that is not appropriate to say that then. And you're like, okay, and you feel a way. And you always recognize it because it slights you a little bit. You feel a little uncomfortable with a remark that is made.
Okay. So you said openly making jokes about your looks, your accent, your dress code, or about a situation when you were not at your best. Yeah. And said blocking opportunities for you to present or explain your concepts. These are some of what you're experiencing while people are trying to undermine your work.
Yes.
Altering your calendar by changing dates and times of meetings without your knowledge. I find this one to be daring because you have your dates down and they're going to take the liberty to do that. They really hated you, do you think?
I'm not sure if hate is the motivation behind it. Sometimes persons see themselves moving forward and they see that you're perhaps in their mind blocking their path. So it's more getting rid of you, per se, not necessarily hating who you are, but maybe hating where you are at that particular moment.
I find that's daring though. Why would anyone go into somebody else's agenda and make a change without them knowing?
Because as a leader, you normally you're that one person that works with a team. So of course you might not be in charge of your scheduling. You might not be in charge of things that you do. So you give that task to someone else. Maybe that person has your role in place, and they can then do that, and you would not even.
But why not say it to you? That's the point.
Wendell, there's something called insecurity. When people are insecure about themselves, they would do anything to sabotage someone else because they don't want to feel the pain of feeling less than. Of course, they're not, but if you see yourself as less than, if you see somebody else doing better than you are, and you're not in the right place in your heart, then naturally they will do that because it is the spirit behind their actions that's motivating them to do it. So whether it's envy, whether there's jealousy, those are the motivators that would get into somebody's heart, who is especially somebody who's comparing themselves to another. And that's why from a very young age I always said I'm not comparing or competing with anyone. My aim is to be the better person for myself every single day. And if you do that, then you don't have to worry about pulling somebody down in order for you to feel better about yourself.
You also talk about self-sabotage too, as well, in the book, which is good. It covers just about everything. But let me finish these because I think these are pointers that a lot of people can see themselves in and may have experienced from time to time, and they can understand now what is actually happening. You said planning meetings when they know that you will not be available. And number 5, instead of promoting you based on your qualification, they reward their established favorites, whoever in the close corner, for career opportunities or positions. And lastly, blindside you in meetings with questions about what they know. You would not be able to have the details at hand. Those are some of the things that happen in leadership among other persons who are leaders.
Not only those who are leaders, but also those who are being led.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, sometimes you have projects, and one project is maybe even not in the same category as your project, but the thought that somebody will say, "Well done, Mr. Moore," is motivation for them to try to derail you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, for instance, changing the date, but that is just a little example of the things that persons would think to do. And persons like maybe ourselves, we don't do those things, so we can't imagine the things that persons would do to derail someone.
How important support is in a situation like that as a leader?
Support is very, very important. One of the things I was blessed with was that I had a village. So my village was the older persons who were aunts and uncles, because we were not allowed to call any person that is my parents' age by their name. So they had to be aunties
Uncle
and
or
uncles.
aunties, yes.
And my parents were very selective of those who were around us. So our aunts and uncles, I could name a few, even though both my parents are gone. They still look up for me, Auntie Vicky, Auntie Joyce, Auntie Anne, those are persons that look for me every day and take care of me because they were my village. But for yourself as a leader, you also need a core team. You need a core team of persons that will be around you and be truthful to you. They are not around you to get anything. They are around you to assist you to be a better version of yourself. So those persons you could be honest with. Those persons, there are days when you can say, I had enough. There are days when you say, I need help. There are days when you say, no, I veto this. And that core group is a group that supports your successes. And one of the things I think is very difficult is when we don't learn to appreciate or enjoy and experience and congratulate others when they succeed. Because leadership is not only the act of having persons to do something that you thought about, but it's also seeing what others do. Because for you to be a good leader, a great leader, you would have had to be a great follower, or a great listener, and a great applicator.
I'm reading from page 29 about self-sabotage, and the reason why I want to read this out loud is because I think there's a lot to benefit from this. Sometimes as leaders, you wrote, we can shoot ourselves in the foot, derail our plans, and fall into traps. One wrong step can change the trajectory of planned success. Our inability to honestly self-evaluate prevents us from being the best version of ourselves. There are a lot of things that we might see happening that, are self-sabotage, even in a general term in our community. And I wonder, what's your remedy for self-sabotage?
Being able to do, we called it our SWOT analysis, a personal SWOT analysis, where you can, as an individual, be honest with yourself.
Looking into self.
Yes, and the difficulty of looking into yourself is because then you would have to address your weaknesses, address the things that you should do differently.
But do
And
people
also-
avoid that?
Yes, people do, because pretense means that you pretend it's not happening.
Yeah.
When you're with the man in the mirror,
Yeah.
you have no choice because the man is saying, yeah, I'm talking about you. And so self-sabotage is one of the hardest things that we have to develop. So, but it begins at home. It begins with young people. Sometimes I tell parents, you're inviting your child to participate in something, maybe a queen show, maybe a sports competition, and you're saying you have to win. And I tell them, no, you need to tell your child you have to be the best. You have to do your best. You have to be able to say at the end of the race, at the end of the show, you know what? Somebody was better than me today, but I'm going to get better. And until we have that shift of the mindset that self-development comes from actually wanting to be better and wanting people around you to be better, is the only way you can stop self-sabotage.
And what do you use to maneuver and find your way through the darkness? A flashlight?
I have a mental action. Because when we wrote the book,
That's just a metaphor. You know
know,
why?
because I
The front of the book has a flashlight, and I felt that you're saying you need that little bit of light to find your way, right?
and the joke is the flashlight was a tool of resilience for me. I thought about when only in the like I'm just talking from our perspective. In the Caribbean, what we do when the battery doesn't work, we hit our hand, and for some reason our hand have power because the battery then seems to work. And with
the lights come on.
The lights come on, or the flashlight will be dimming, and you just touch it a little bit, and you shake it up, and the light becomes brighter. So while writing the book one day, what would be our image? And I was like, has to be a flashlight. And my co-author was like, why a flashlight? And I told her, I said, the flashlight starts at a small point, but it opens a way. And it gives you a trajectory of where you can go.
Yeah.
And even though you don't see the end, you know that there's a path that you can not stumble and get up. So
The Bible say, the word is a lamp unto our feet.
And a
That's
light
right
unto
in
our
front of you.
path.
And a light unto the pathway. So
Yes.
it opens up
Yes.
clearly. Girl, this thing has so much good stuff in it. And the good thing I like about it is the fact that you have remedies. You said that
Yes.
you have a workbook for
Yes.
this.
So attached to the book is a workbook where you can personalize your journey, because every leader has a different story. There, and you can be leading in the same environment, the same sort of job, but every journey is personal, because you have your, I don't know if baggage is a good word. You have whatever you brought with you that processes how you would move forward. And with self sabotage is we have a SWOT analysis where you do, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, you do your strengths, your weaknesses, what are the opportunities that you could have had, or what are the threats that prevents you from getting where you need to go. And just do it for yourself. And you can do it on a personal level. You could do it within your relationships. You can do it around the persons that you work with. Because some people think that leadership is based on the title. So if you're working um, at a job and you're not you don't have supervisor or a manager behind your name, you're not a leader. But that does not define leadership. Leadership for us, or for me, is being able to sell your vision to anyone else and get them to help you on that path.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset of leadership. So as a housewife, you're in leadership. As a mother, you're in leadership. As a father, you're in leadership. As a friend, because you can help assist somebody from moving one place to the other.
You're actually echoing Dr. Erna Mae Francis Cotton's version of leadership.
Oh, really?
Self leadership.
Yeah. I mean,
We never
just
discussed it, honestly.
well, you want to believe that, like the reference you use about who consider themselves leaders, that everything is reserved for only them. But she's saying that everybody is, in some regard,
A leader.
carrying the role of leadership. It's even if it's not home, it's school, or in an association, or wherever, you're playing a role of a leader. Dr. Cotton, congratulations in lending some support to make sure that this is on paper,
Thank you.
and that maybe you can tell us exactly how people can get this book. Because
So we'll be having our official book launch. We'll be having our official book launch in March. However, Van Dorp will have the books by the end of the month. They will have it available at Van Dorp.
And in addition, we have
Oh,
some
yes.
books as well at
Yes,
Victorious
that-
Living. And I'd like to officially thank our publishing partner, because we have a publishing partner, Walton House Publishing, that's based in Barbados.
okay,
And so we have been publishing, this is our second book together as a partnership, but they've been in the business for a while. And the third book, which you're going to hear about soon, is In Emilia Wilson Park with Uncle Joe by Mr. Oswald Francis. So we're developing and
Okay.
building, and we are grateful that Brenda and Roslyn chose us to publish this book.
Brenda, this is, I don't know if I'm speaking this way because as a teacher myself, when you have this kind of outline, it makes it so easy for you to communicate the valuables of these things to the recipients, whoever is receiving it. But I'm lauding this book because I think not only that, it can help us identify some areas in our lives when we experience some of these things. It's so easy for people to put you down. I sit here sometimes and boy, do I get it. You know, but what can you do? Sometimes you don't fight fire with fire.
You pick your battles.
You pick your battles. But that's okay. It's not about me, really. So the book is called Dark Side of Leadership. It's written by Brenda Maynard and, of course, Miss Douglas, Rosalind Douglas. How did she get involved?
We have a joke that, well, it's not a joke, it's a cute fact. Rosalind and I have never met physically.
Never met physically. So all of this was done online?
Yes, we met virtually and we have become virtual. We call ourselves virtual sisters because we talk every day and we just have an amazing relationship. There are a lot of things that, bind us together. We can also be each other's critic. We can be honest with each other and we actually assist each other. And so this was a project that we can actually say that you don't have to physically be there to be there.
Yeah.
So that's what
But
we
in
see.
your leadership role in the Caribbean region, you've never had the opportunity because you've not just been here in St.Maarten, you've been elsewhere,
Yes.
haven't you?
No, to meet her, you mean?
No, not
Oh.
me. Well, I'm saying that
Oh.
the possibility of moving around in the Caribbean
Oh.
in what you're doing
Oh,
would have
definitely.
provided you with the opportunity to probably meet her one.
Yes, definitely. Beside that what particular organization, I'm also leading in other organizations that have allotted me the opportunity to meet persons. For instance, I love the virtual world because for me it brings the world right at my fingertips. I have done workshops in Dubai, I've done workshops in Germany, in France, and from a room in St.Maarten, or so there's a connection that you get virtually that you don't get in person sometimes, and it is the spreading of the message. And for me, one of the things that we learned while doing this book was the response that we have gotten from persons who have read this book has motivated us to do more. So we have been doing workshops. We are now currently developing our program into, by one of the requests, into an educational manual. So there are things that are coming out of this book that we didn't even imagine. There were doors that are opening. However, the main core of this book was just to help that individual leader to say, I am not alone and I can do this. Even the language and the way we wrote it, it is really easy to put in your bag, even though you didn't take off the plastic when I gave it to you in October. But to put it in your bag and have it with you, and the workbook actually lets you structure your journey. What can I do differently? And then you can reference back the book and say, oh, that's how they did it.
Yeah.
And we give examples where you can find help outside of, our experience. So.
Well,
Definitely.
indirectly, Dr. Erna Mae Francis Scott, you were involved, but we want to segue to something else that I believe you're involved with that you like to share. Maybe you can just give a briefing for that as I go to a break, and then when we come back, we deal with that with a little bit more details.
Yes, indeed. As you know or may not know, I am the developer of the counseling degree program at Grace Hill Bible University. And we recently held a masterclass on grief, that it's okay to feel the pain of grief. And so the next step for our next term, February 9th, we'll be hosting the course, Counseling Couples, New Insights into Ending Abusive Relationships. And actually, it's very much connected to what Brenda is speaking about, the dark side of leadership, shining the light, because in our relationships, there is also leadership. And sometimes that leadership can be toxic. So when we come back from the break, I will go into more detail about that.
Okay, folks, Dr. Erna Mae Francis Cotton, she's here as one of the publishers, or the publisher of the book from Brenda, which is called The Dark Side of Leadership. And we will have further discussion on what she have just mentioned right after we take a quick break. So we'll take a break and come right back. Welcome back, folks, to the program. We have just a few minutes remaining, but we'll take that time to turn our attention to Dr. Erna Mae Francis Cotton and this recent masterclass that you had, and it was related to.
So that masterclass was about it's okay to feel the pain of grief, because last semester the course was a grief course helping persons to know how to handle grief. So the students, as part of the course, they presented a masterclass of the semester, as well as we had a guest speaker, April Birch. She is a grief coach. And so it was a very powerful and impactful event that we held, a week ago, I think it was. And it left some indelible impressions on those who came, and we provided them with tools that they could use for coping with grief. As we know, there seems to be a proliferation of death in our communities, not just locally. And so there are many people who are carrying grief and don't understand the impact of grief on their lives. So now we're going to
Grief
the
is only
new semester.
associated with death?
No, it's not, of course. You have loss of employment, loss of relationship, divorce. I
Yeah.
mean, a pet. There's so many different aspects of grief.
Even if I'm connected to Brenda's book,
Correct.
sometimes you can be feeling a certain way after you have been ridiculed openly
True.
by somebody, and that can be
A form of
a form of grief.
Yes. But the impact upon us emotionally, spiritually, relationally is very powerful. And so we were
Does
sharing
that push
about
you
that.
back into yourself to maybe make adjustments or do something that when you're having those times, because you say it's okay to
feel-
grieve,
Exactly.
to
And actually, what tends to happen is people have pushed aside those emotions. And in pushing aside the emotions, not allowing yourself to grieve, it can then impact your health physically and in other ways. But that was for last semester. This semester now, we're dealing with abusive relationships, because the truth be told, here on St.Maarten and across the Caribbean, we're seeing increasing pain inside of our homes. I know that when COVID had hit, they were talking about increase in domestic and intimate partner violence,
Yes,
emotional
yes.
abuse, and families
Remember.
under extreme stress. And it continued up until today. So we know that regionally and global research says that up to 1 in 3 women will experience violence from an intimate partner. And in some Caribbean countries, it's closer to 4 in 10. So it's not just a number. We're talking about our mothers, daughters, sons, church members, co-workers, because sometimes when you generalize it, people tend to take themselves out
out
of
of
the
it.
picture.
Yes.
But
yes.
we have to be real that this is impacting our society. And so Grace Hill Bible University's counseling degree program, which I developed, we made that decision that we're going to be intentional about training healers for hurting homes. So every course that we present is about addressing a need, addressing the challenges that are being faced in our households. And so the course is a 15-week course, and it's called Couples Counseling: New Insights into Ending Abusive Relationships. And I want to get this out quickly because today is the early bird deadline for persons who want to enroll and would like to take advantage of that discount. So they can go to our website, that's www.victoriouslivingfoundation.com, and on the site they will be able to register for the program by clicking the link, as well as on the 29th of January we have a orientation. They can also register online because it will be via Zoom. The orientation will take place. So like Brenda, I'm utilizing the virtual world because the course is actually online. So you're not limited to being on St.Maarten to register for the course.
Is this only for personal experience in violence in domestic?
No. This is for helpers. So this is for someone that is currently a counselor or someone who desires to be a counselor. It's for pastors, it's for lay leaders, for youth workers, teachers, social and health workers, and any individual who says, I'm seeing red flags in relationships and I want the tools to be able to help somebody who is going through a challenge domestically.
So they can go to your website and register for that.
Yes, or our phone number is 1-721-524-8731. That's plus 1-721-524-8731.
And you want to mention that this is done virtually, so
It's virtual.
you don't have to leave your home.
No, you don't have to
Only
leave your
need-
home or your office if you're going to do it at your office. And it starts February 9th and it runs for 15 weeks, so it ends on May 25th. And
15
it
weeks,
is
not every day.
not every day.
Okay.
It's once a week.
Yeah, just make sure that
But
it's
I also
clear.
want to add that this is part of the master's program. But I've done it in such a way that, let's say somebody is not going to take the program and they just want to do the course,
Yeah.
then they will be able to get a certificate in the course. Yes.
Okay. That has a price tag, you say, of...
For someone who only want to do the course, it's $650. And for those who want it as a part of the whole degree program, it's $590, because I've done it in such a way that to make it more affordable
Yeah.
for persons instead of paying the entire tuition.
Yeah. So, persons who would be dealing with families who have these kind of issues,
Correct.
they would be equipped
They
after
will be
this
equipped.
course
Yes.
to...
Yes.
Because you got some people who are having this experience, they're either not talking about it or they're keeping it a secret. You're seeing the red flag because you're in a position, advantageous position, where you see something is wrong,
Correct.
but nobody's saying anything. So when you are equipped, you will be able to tell them things like, you got to say something.
So let me just give you a briefing on what is covered, okay? So in the course, we walk participants through several key areas, seeing what we usually miss, because many people think abuse is only physical. So in the course, we look at emotional abuse, coercive control, spiritual manipulation, and how these patterns are often minimized or even normalized in our culture. Because sometimes we forget there's also spiritual abuse, which is experienced in churches as well. So we use resources like trauma-informed treatment and prevention of intimate partner violence. That's by Casey Taff, and it helps us understand how trauma shapes behavior, both in victims and in those who use violence, without ever excusing the abuse. So, sometimes people say, oh, yeah, but my past, this is why I'm doing this. Okay, we know your past may have contributed, but it's still not acceptable. So now let us find healing for what you're experiencing and how you're afflicting somebody else. It offers concrete trauma-informed strategies for helping people change dangerous patterns and stay accountable. We also look at the role of the church and faith communities, because one of our texts, The Trauma of Sexual and Domestic Violence by Sharon Ellis Davis, is written by a pastor and former police officer. And she shows how survivors can be harmed when scripture is misused. Messages like God hates divorce or you must submit no matter what. And also how churches can become places of refuge and justice. So we help students ask, are we protecting the institution of marriage? Or are we protecting the person made in God's image? So it's a very powerful course, and actually I have done this course twice before, but every time I always upgrade. So the books that I'm using this time are actually new books, and they go even a step deeper than what was done before. So it's a fully upgraded course. So even the students who have taken the course before, they can take this course and it'll be like, I didn't have this before, because it's always progressing. Sempre progredients. Yes, always making it better for our students to make an impact in our community. And we also have working with those who use violence safely. So people at Safe Haven
use violence safely?
So, yes. So
what's that?
For example, those who work at Safe Haven and other places, in Strengths-Based Batterer Intervention by Catherine Simmons, that's one of the resources we're using, we look at a different way of engaging those who use violence. Instead of only shaming and punishing, it asks, how do we call them to responsibility while also drawing out any strengths, values, and motivation to change? This is always done with survivor safety at the center, but it opens the door for real transformation rather than just fear-based compliance. So it's a very comprehensive program. And for those who, we would like to have at least 10 new people join the course, because not just about joining the course, but about making a difference. And so they may go to victoriouslivingfoundation.com, www.victoriouslivingfoundation.com. When you go on the site, you will see a picture of the course, so the graphic for the course. They can click on the link to register for the course, and they can also scan the QR code to register for the orientation, which is on the 29th of January.
Okay.
And the course starts on February 9th. Of course, there are books to be bought, so the deadline for registering is February 2nd, because there are books to be bought, and it's important that they get the books ahead of time to be able to be effectively taking the course.
Again, this course is more geared towards people who are involved in what?
Well, it is for persons who want to help. It is for persons who are currently counselors, persons who aspire to be counselors, preachers, teachers, laypersons, business people, because guess what? Domestic violence does not just stay in the house. It comes to your workforce. It comes to your workplace. So even organizations could say, you know what, I'm going to sponsor, or I'm going to have one of my workers take this class, because within the organization we can have a resource that they can be there to provide guidance as well.
I just wanted to connect
Yes.
those persons who can make use of this course
Correct.
to those who are in a position where they can make use of it.
Correct.
Because
So
we
schools,
have a wide range of listeners.
schools,
Yeah.
we have churches, we have businesses, you name it, social workers, psychologists, doctors,
Yes.
anyone that recognizes the necessity for such a program and that they need tools in order to work with, this is perfect for them.
All right. Okay. I'm going to have to end it there because I'm way out of time. I want to thank Dr. Erna Mae Francis Cotton for sharing that coming information that those persons who can make use of it do find the way to connect with Dr. Erna Mae Francis to be able to get themselves signed up, and the number to reach her is 721-524-8731, 721-524-8731. Of course, you didn't get all the information here, but you get a taste of what is it's all about. So if you get to her, then she can make the arrangement for you to register. And for my other guest on the other side, Brenda, I'm going to have you back because I need some time with you alone.
No problem.
And then we can talk some more about your book. Your book, you say, is available, and you're going to have your
Launch.
Your launch,
Yes.
and that would
And
be
you can
in
also-
March.
Yes, but the book is on the island, so if you want a pre-copy,
Yes.
you can always call me at 527-5809.
527
5809,
5809.
and we'll arrange to get you a copy.
Okay.
And I also want to add, publicly, I'm very proud of you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thank you.
and success.
Thank you.
And that's the final word for today. At least for 12. We'll be back again this afternoon at 5 and again tomorrow at 12. So join us then. In the meantime, over to the newsroom we go. Take care of yourselves.